I'd like to thank the committee for allowing me the opportunity to speak in support of Assembly Bill 2383. November is a milestone for me. This year will be 35 years I spent in a wheelchair after an automobile accident. Believe it or not, being in the chair hasn't been the worst thing. It sucks, but dealing with things that come along with it are the hardest. The pressure sores, the health issues, the reliance on others, and the attitudes of many. I have a job I love for the last 24 years. I've had mentors that have pushed and challenged me. The one area I've learned of and embraced is the notion that there is something called the independent living philosophy. Since the 1960s, people with disabilities have been fighting for control over our lives. They have the ability to make decisions that affect our lives. The one thing I've tried to maintain in my life is independence. Independent living means something different to everyone, especially to someone with a disability. The independent living philosophy emphasizes consumer control over our lives. The people with disabilities are the best experts on our own needs. Independent living means that we demand the same choices and control in our everyday lives that our non-disabled brothers and sisters, neighbors, friends take for granted. We want to grow up with our families, go to the neighborhood schools, use the same buses as our neighbors. The passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act only strengthened the resolve that people with disabilities have. The ADA allows the disability community the opportunity to live as equals to anyone. Self-determination and autonomy underlie the ADA. They are the rights people living with disabilities have sought our entire lives. Disability organizations have been fighting for years for their rights I've previously mentioned. They have stood strong in the face of adversity, putting the health and safety on the line so the human and civil rights of people with disabilities can be protected. Yet these same organizations are opposed to this legislation. In my opinion, this is the height of hypocrisy. They claim the assisted suicide legislation reinforces the idea that people with disabilities are burdensome and facing functional loss are often reported by doctors as reasons patients request assisted suicide. They claim proponents of assisted suicide often saw a loss of dignity as a reason to terminate one's life. They claim the disability community strongly opposes the belief that requiring the assistance of another individual for activities of daily living, such as dressing, bathing, and toileting, is undignified or a legitimate reason to legalize physician-assisted suicide. Loss of dignity is not the same as disability. The only person making the decision can determine the level of dignity involved in how it impacts the choice to end one's life. To advocate the strive for equality only gets cheapened by the claim that we are now vulnerable and our lives are somehow diminished because of a law is an insult. Giving people with disabilities the choice at the end of life would empower us and give our control of life legitimacy. We want control in life and we want control at the end of life. This is not a disability issue. A disability or chronic condition alone is clearly not a terminal illness and therefore does not qualify under this legislation. Medical aid in dying is one option a terminally ill, mentally capable adult with the ability to self-administer medication when and if they choose to bring about a peaceful and humane death. Should their end-of-life suffering become too great to bear, My life's value cannot be diminished by medical aid in dying. To the contrary, my life would be empowered by the medical aid in dying. It would give me the autonomy I've worked so hard to maintain since my first day in a wheelchair. I'd like to thank the committee for the ability to say this today, and thank you, and I hope for your further support and passage.